Hey everybody, this is Chris DeFirio with Keys to the Shop. Welcome to another edition of Shift Break. I want to direct your attention to something that I think is a great resource and very entertaining at the same time, and that's the AeroPress movie. Aless and Reddick, the two guys behind European Coffee Trip, they are responsible for creating this movie about the AeroPress, that fantastic portable brewer, such a great device. And they go through the story of the invention of the AeroPress and also how the specialty coffee industry really took to this, especially on the back of the AeroPress competition that was formed. And so they kind of visit both those worlds throughout the entire 45 minutes of this documentary. Just fantastic quality, great entertainment, and is really interesting too. So you can find out more by going to aeropressmovie.com. Find out where there's screenings happening near you. You can also watch the movie on that website. And you can find out how you can screen the movie for your community. So I would encourage you to watch this movie and go visit aeropressmovie.com. So I'm inspired to do this particular shift break because I've been re-listening to a book called Leadership and Self-Deception by the Arbinger Institute, something that I really strongly recommend you read. One of the concepts in this book is that our propensity is to treat people around us like objects. Objects that are either stepping stones for us to use on our way up, or objects to be avoided, or objects that are in our way. Either way, we tend to view people around us in terms of their negative characteristics. It's hard for us to see our own contributions to the negativity in the cafe. That's why in a previous shift break I talked about my favorite interview question being that, I ask people, what ways did you contribute to the dysfunction in your last job? Specifically, like, how did you personally contribute to the things that were going wrong in that organization? Because every one of us has a part to play in that. Self-aware people generally can answer this question. People who aren't, they just revert to this blame game, which is exactly what I'm talking about, where we don't view people around us as people deserving of empathy, but we separate ourselves from them and treat them as objects. And what I want to encourage us to do is to view the people who work with you in all of their imperfections as imperfect people, not just objects, not just assumptions. When you are scheduled with that one person that you don't like to work with because they have a propensity to not do particular chores, right? It's easy to create in your mind this vision of that person as only that thing that annoys you. And in that process, we're dehumanizing them. We've lost our empathy because we have put in our minds this predictable behavior that they have, and instead of being a person, we see them as that habit that they have, and that's it. So weirdly, going back to the question that I ask people when interviewing them, that actually contributes to the dysfunction in the cafe because you withhold goodness from people purposefully. Purposefully because either you're uncomfortable with giving goodness to people or giving compliments or being affirming, or because you feel like they don't deserve it and they need to earn it from you. It's great when people give us grace. And part of the reason why maybe we don't give it so much is because we don't realize how much we've received from others, because we don't have an accurate view of how much dysfunction we have in our own selves. We're all imperfect. We're all kind of coming together trying to create something that's as consistent as it can be, as excellent as it can be. And in order to do that sustainably as an industry in a high-pressure situation like the cafe, we need to be able to view ourselves as people amongst other people and give empathy and grace and not be so ruthless. Like, you can look out for your own career. You can do that. You can definitely guard yourself also against toxicity from other people, but you don't have to dehumanize people in order to do it. You can value yourself. You can choose yourself. And you can do all these things that are necessary to be able to carve out a career and be self-motivated. But there's a difference between being self-motivated and self-absorbed and self-focused. And knowing that difference is all about practicing the ability to see the worth in other people on a regular basis. Because like the book says that I've been re-listening to, we tend to view people as objects. That's our propensity. And we need to guard against that and counterbalance it with affirmation and grace as we work together in the cafe to achieve something great. So that's kind of been what's on my mind. I hope that it was helpful to you. I would recommend go read this book. It's very much worth your time. And I think it'll help you overcome the inertia that we experience when we reach out to do something kind and talk ourselves out of it, or we reach out to give grace to somebody who we don't think deserves it. And so that's it for today's episode. Thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you here next week for another edition of Shift Break, from Keys to the Shop.